Hey guys, Loman02. We're going to be doing another vintage cube on MTGO, and hopefully we'll be underway here relatively soon. Currently the cube's filled with 7 of 8, so there we go. And what do we have in this first pack? Well, so Elspeth, Sun's Champion, is a fine control finisher, but nothing special, probably second tier. Emrakul the Aeon's Torn is one of the best combo cards in the best combo creatures in the cube. It and Griselbrand are kind of in a league of their own, and I think it's a pretty clear pick in this pack. I could see taking the Polluted Delta if one wanted to stay open, but I think the upside on Emrakul is quite potent. Tolarian Academy is also a card that could possibly get there in a series of decks, but this is a pretty clear first pick, Emrakul of the Aeon's Torn, between that and Polluted Delta. I'm going to take Emrakul. It goes into so many decks that just cheat big things into play, and there's a lot of that in the cube. You have Channel, you have Show and Tell, you have Sneak Attack, Eureka to a lesser extent possibly, Through the Breach. We could even get back to Shallow Grave, which I believe was in that pack. No, actually, it wasn't in that one. That was just a Grim Tutor. But I don't think there are... I think Emrakul's probably the top as far as like combo creatures. Like between it and Griselbrand, those are the two top tier. And then other Eldrazi are pretty decent too, but Emrakul is probably just the best. Alright, so what do we have here? We have some decent combo cards in this pack. To include the Yawgmoth's Will, the Lion's Eye Diamond, which really both go in the same deck, an Oath of Druids, which is quite potent with Emrakul, and possibly the pickup. You know, though, I think what I kind of like is probably between Duress and Oath of Druids. I don't think I'm taking Yawgmoth's Will. I guess I could take Yawgwill. Yawgwill is one of the highest upside cards in the cube. And I'm really not giving up on a ton in this pack. Fire Ice is a decently open pick as well. You know, I think Oath of Druids goes better with my first pick. But the upside on Yawgwill and trying to wield the Lion's Eye Diamond I think is fairly high. So I'm going to pick it up here. This is early in the pack, so I think it's fine to speculate a bit at this point in time in the draft. Preordained is the most open pick. Bayou is quite good. Bring to Light will likely come back. So if you're going to play the Storm decks, Bring to Light is quite good in those style of decks. Preordained is not unwelcome. But I think I'm going to take the Bayou because they tend to either be Grixis Pie or Bug Pie. And I think the Bug deck may be even a little better than the Grixis Pie because you do get a few cards that kind of help support it better. Alright, so we do have a very powerful card in the form of Mana Vault, which actually goes very well in the Storm deck or in a deck that wants to cheat big things out really fast. You also have Ulamog here, which is probably like one of the third best like combo out creatures, especially with like Sneak Attack or Through the Breach. But I think Mana Vault is the most open pick here. Alrighty, we have a Braid. So this pack's a little bit lighter. We do have some reanimation effects, which are fine. The Copperline Gorge allows you to fix in some red mana into any deck, which would go well in like combo style deck, because I think if you go Storm, you generally want to have access to Wheel or the Ritual effects, and I think green tends to go good because you get, you know, Regrowth, you get Bring to Light, a few things. The way the packs are shaping up, green appears to be relatively open. The strongest green card in this pack I actually do think is Courser over the Garruk Primal Hunter. I think I like the Copperline Gorge here, of all things. I think I'm going to pick that up. Just kind of stay open. We did speculate a little heavily in the first two picks, and now I'm kind of going back more to an open posture. It may be that we end up just playing mid-range, you know. I think it's important, even in Cube, to remain open to a variety of options, because there's going to be a lot of folks that'll force things, and I don't always think that's where you want to be in Cube. Sometimes you can just force and get there, and there's certain archetypes you can force. Like Red Deck Wins is open right now, and I could jump into that and start forcing it, but I've done it 3 times, and I think Cabal Ritual is good enough, and possibly enough of a sign, depending on what else is in that pack, that the Storm combo deck could be open, and it's a very fun archetype to draft, build, and play. And I actually don't think Emrakul is a horrible card for that style of deck, especially if you can pick up some alternate win cons in the deck. So if we want to stay the course, the best pickup here is going to be the Gitaxian Probe, because it's a free spell. Gruul Signet is just fine, and I would love to have a Signet. If it was an open pick, I would take it. I would probably take a dual land before I would take a Signet, but I do like Gitaxian Probe quite a bit. Okay, so we have Eternal Witness, which is fine in this style of deck. Hangerback Walker is essentially a free spell. Blooming Marsh, I think, is quite good in the combo style deck because your mana is generally going to be stretched because you generally want to play a plethora of spells across the range of the game of Magic. Okay, so here we get a Polluted Delta, which can pick up our Bayou, which is not bad at all. We also have a Brain Freeze, which is quite a potent Storm finisher. I think that, and we have Grim Tutor, but I think we could do better on tutors. I think the Brain Freeze is probably the pickup here. I do like the Polluted Delta to no small extent, and actually this is great. So we have a harder choice here. We have Lion's Eye Diamond, which is extremely potent with Yawgmoth's Will, and we have Oath of Druid, which combos well with our Emrakul, and I think is generally a great alternate win con for Storm. But I think I want to take the highest upside card here, which is Lion's Eye Diamond, over the Oath of Druids for the Emrakul. If the Emrakul doesn't pan out, I think that's fine, because right now it looks like the Storm deck is quite open. I'm going to put Emrakul in the sideboard for now, but he doesn't necessarily have to stay there. We did pick up the Copperline Gorge, which, although not fetchable, it does allow us to jump a little bit into red. Obviously, I'd rather get like 2 to 3 fetches and then like a Taiga or a Badlands if I were to get like some high upside cards with it, like Sneak Attack or Through the Breach. But so far, this is shaping up pretty well. We have, basically 3 free spells. Mana Vault nets mana the turn it comes into play. Cabal Ritual can do the same. Gitaxian Probe is free. Lion's Eye Diamond is free. I mean, it's a high setup card, but we also have a very powerful tutor in the form of Bring to Light. Obviously, Dark Petition is probably a little bit better, but so far I'm not unhappy with how this is going. I think we have a pretty decent shell. And if you've watched my previous Storm draft, I actually very much so like Nature's Claim. Nature's Claim is a 1-mana spell that not only gains you life. I'm going to pick up a Fieldmancer. Not only gains you life, and Red Deck Wins is open. Not only gains you life, but also allows you to cast additional spells with Yawgmoth's Will. Or if you get Yawgmoth's Bargain, you can generally net cards with it. Alright, well, Time Spiral is extremely potent. I do like the Mox Diamond quite a bit as well, and I do like the Botanical Sanctum. I think the Diamond or the Sanctum can come around in this pack. I am going to want to be playing blue. This is a tough one for me because I do really want my first draw 7. I think I am going to pick up the Spiral here because of the high upside on its power. Turnabout's quite good. It tends to be better in the High Tide variants of the deck, but we could... Oh, we have Wheel of Fortune in this pack too. Wheel of Fortune, I think, is going to be what I pick up here, and then hope to wheel the Turnabout. We do not have the Tendrils win con yet. Brain Freeze is frail against certain things that have, specifically Eldrazi in them. There's no Gaia's Blessing in this format, but there are 3 Eldrazi, I want to say, that actually shuffle back up. Okay, so this is an interesting pack as well. I like Shelldock Isle, and I like Fastbond to no small extent. I think I'm going to pick up the Fastbond here because of its high upside. Shelldock Isle is interesting, but for the wrong reasons in Cube, and I'll explain that to you momentarily. Shelldock Isle says play a card underneath it if a player has less than 20 cards. Alright, we're going to wield the Izzet Charm and take the Demonic Tutor here. So if you put Emrakul underneath the thing, it technically gives you the extra turn, or it gives you the extra turn on MTGO, which it should not. It's also the same reason why it's bugged for lands as well. If you put a land underneath it, a land card underneath it, then it will not work either. Which it should. You should be allowed to put lands from underneath it back onto the battlefield. And I hope at some point in time WotC fixes that because, one, you should not get the extra turn with Emrakul the Aeon Storm. You should have to put it on your opponent's turn block or whatever, and then go to the next turn and then play it and then attack with it. But unfortunately, it does not work that way on MTGO. So with Time Spiral, I don't think this is going to be a High Tide deck for starters. I was kind of saying, and I kind of jumped off my train of thought, that Spiral goes best with High Tide decks. There is Mana Flare and Heartbeat of Spring, both of which I think would be strong additions to this deck. Would also like to get some of the rituals for this build. The mana will tend to be a little bit hinky in this build, and we do want to get some draw spells. Right now our draw looks like Gitaxian Probe, Wheel of Fortune, and Time Spiral, which are not horrible, but I wouldn't mind just some simple draw, some inexpensive draw. Okay, so let's think about this. We do have the Flare here, but I think the Flare has the highest probability of wheeling of the cards that I would kind of want in this pack. I think Wooded Foothills is the correct pickup here because it can fix for red, and if we can pick up some more fetch lands, we could pretty strongly support that. We have the Bayou, which it already gets. I think I'm going to expect to wheel the Flare there. All right, very, very strong pickup here. Well, damn. I really do like Dark Petition to no small extent. It's very, very strong with Yawgmoth's Will. But I think this deck, it could come around. The chances are very small of it coming around, like Timely Reinforcements is probably going to come around. Or like Jora Weatherlight. There's a chance Dark Petition comes around. I mean, I think I really want this Mana Confluence in this deck, because the mana is just kind of struggling right now. And I already have the Bring to Light, which, well, it's not quite the same as Dark Petition, which I would rather have. It's not bad. And like I said, this is going to be a 4-color deck, likely at a minimum. Alright, there is a Tinker. So Tinker with Lion's Eye Diamond does not tend to be horrible. There's also a Damnation, which is a great sideboard card, and there's a Baleful Strix, which just like nets you a card and blocks for a while. It's kind of good. Huh. I think the Tinker is the highest upside card in this deck, but I think I'm going to pick up the Strix. Call me crazy. Like, the Strix is just kind of like mono fair, but it does net you a card. It kind of just cycles itself, buys you a little bit of time. The Tinker is the higher upside pick. Like, if I get that Mox Diamond back, which the chances are pretty low of that, then you put the Diamond in the deck, and you can transmute the Diamond into the Lion's Eye Diamond, which does not lose you mana. It just basically keeps you at the same amount of mana. Alright, so here, Gifts Ungiven is a pretty easy pickup for this combo-style deck, and I'm very happy to get it. Still haven't put Emrakul, rather, not Necrotal, out of the running for being played in this build either. No literal power yet, but we did manage to get the Mana Vault, which is kind of on the same level as power, and then the Lion's Eye Diamond is, in this deck, if you play it correctly, very, very similar, I think, to Black Lotus. You can play it almost the same way. What is this deck hoping not to face? Pretty much aggressive decks. Control, it should be halfway decent against. It wouldn't mind like one counterspell, like a Remand is probably the best counterspell for this deck, because it's very cheap, and you can even use it with your own spells to essentially double up on your Storm count, which is kind of cool. Alright, so the Mox Diamond did not come back around, which we did not expect. The Temple Garden is probably one of the worst dual lands for us to see, in Savannah, because we're not playing white. That's the only color we're not playing. But Inquisition of Kozilek's quite good. Get rid of the counter magic. Alright, the Turnabout did come around. Yeah, my Althar's actually not terrible either. Pick up Turnabout, though, and hopefully we get that Mana Flare back to us. Mana Flare will be quite strong in this build. It's what's going to allow Turnabout and Time Spiral to kind of get there. Alright, we'll probably pick up the dual land that comes into play tapped. Fixes for 2 colors. I mean, it is tapped, but what can you do? I'm going to pick up him here. I don't think the Flare is coming back at this point. I do think that Young Pyromancer is a decent alternate win con for this style of deck. Wall of Blossoms is probably fine as well. Alright, then Land Tax, okay. So the Mana Flare did not come back around. Interesting, someone picked that up. Well, maybe we'll get the Heartbeat of Spring. Alright, well, Dark Ritual and Snapcaster Mage. We also have Sneak Attack, but I think that boat's kind of gone. We've only got one good target for it. Verdant Catacombs gets the Bayou, and that's pretty much it. I think this deck really wants the Dark Ritual. The power of that's pretty huge. I think I'm going to put this card in the sideboard. I really don't want to have a lot of red in the deck. I think the wall kind of does that better. Like, red should be the lightest splash. It should be mostly a bug-based deck. And if we can get rid of the Lumbering Falls, I probably will, but I think I do want it. Alright, so we have one shuffle effect. We have a few shuffle effects. We have a Brainstorm here, which is fine. Torrential Gearhulk is a bit pricey. Faithless Looting is red again. I don't really want to... I think we can get the Brainstorm or the Faithless Looting to come back. Oracle is fine. It's a good value card. It's pretty strong with Fastbond. But I think I'd rather just have another mana fixer. I don't have good fetch lands to fix my mana, so I think I just want raw mana advantage. I do like Commit to Memory, but I'm not going to say no to a Time Twister. Blightsteel Colossus, the Tinker plan's kind of already come and gone. Lotus Bloom has a good chance of wheeling, so the Signet will probably be gone by then as well, though. Alright, Chrome Mox is very good, and we have a Through the Breach here, which is also pretty good if we want to bring the Emrakul plan in, but I think I'm just going to pick up the 0-drop. Alright, well, Thirst for Knowledge is great card draw. Liliana the Veil, very good card. I do like the Black Cleaf Cliffs, because, it fixes for 2 of my colors. I guess really one of them and a splash of the other. I'm going to pick up the Draw spell here, though. I think they'll be more appreciated in this style of deck. Alright, well, Deck Faden I think is the pickup here. It is one of my splash colors, but it does help me to, set up a pretty prime Yawgmoth's Will. And discarding with this deck is in some ways like drawing. We're at 29 with 7 lands. Alright, so there's Tendrils of Agony. Well, this pack was loaded, right? I think we pick up the Tendrils here. I do like Regrowth quite a bit, but I think we do need the Tendrils in the deck. The thing with Brain Freeze is, yeah, it's probably an easier storm condition against certain decks, but Tendrils just overall requires less storm count. I don't know how much of a trouble this deck's going to have with that. We have 3 Draw 7s in the deck, which is very good. 2 of which can be very easily found with Bring to Light. We have DT to help set that up. We have Gifts Ungiven to help set that up. And we have Fastbond to get mana advantage relatively fast. Yeah, maybe we could have just gone with another card in that pack. Alright, well, Mind's Desire is really the only card for us. You can pick up a Raging Ravine, but I really don't think I want to beat another tapped land. I don't know if we'll play the Mind's Desire, but we may. Okay, this fetch land here gets a Bayou. It would mean that the Wooded Foothills just gets Forest or... oh, we want that, or we want Chart a Course. I'm at 31 minus 7. I'm going to wheel something else. I think I'm all about having the best of mana in this deck. This pack wasn't good before. I think we'll just pick up the Ancient Grudge because it is castable and it's a decent sideboard option for this deck if we need to be more interactive. Right now, we're not the most of interactive decks. We have a Baleful Strix to block and kill something, draws a card, and then a Wall of Blossoms to kind of do the same. Otherwise, we're kind of just playing our own game here. This deck is certainly very sweet. I think it's going to be pretty fun to play. But we'll see how good it does. I think in general you want to be a 17-land deck with this style of deck, especially because of the volume of draw 7s we have. We can get through the deck pretty fast, and you really just want to have good opening hand consistency. Okie doke. Well, I think I'm going to take Commit to Memory. Or is it Oath to fix mana? It's very cheap. Oath is very cheap. There's one upside to it. I think I'm going to take Commit. Okay, well, probably a Murderous Cut for sideboard options. Possibly Firebolt. Again, a sideboard option against certain decks. I guess we also have the Ophiomancer to sideboard into the Ancient Grudge, which is not a bad sideboard option. The Young Pyromancer I actually don't mind either. If you can get it in certain matchups, it can just, buy you a ton of time. Spellskite's a fine sideboard option as well, just to keep you alive. Blocks pretty well. And Shacklepup. Okie doke. So let's see what Moto thinks. One, okay, yeah, that seems about right. Yeah, it seems pretty decent. So that's 16 lands. I think 16 actually will be fine. We have a Chrome Mox. We have a bunch of draw. Do we want to cut one more card is kind of the question. If I were to cut a card, maybe it'd be a 6, maybe like a Mind's Desire. Mind's Desire is kind of slowish. I mean, but if you hit with it, it's going to hit the rest of your deck. The problem just becomes it can get stuck. I think maybe we cut the Mind's Desire and add one more basic. And I'm feeling it's a swamp, but let's see here. Oh, it's not going to show me deck statistics, huh? Oop. Alright, well, my Moto's done something weird. I've actually never been able to get it to do this before. Separate by creatures and spells. For this deck, that's not really a thing. Or 39 playables regardless. Maybe we just try the Desire. I'm going to try the Desire out. I don't think I need 3 Storm win cons. I mean, I guess Mind's Desire is not really a win con. It's just kind of, it just wins because it finds the rest of your deck when you do your work right with this deck. But I think this is a good deck. I mean, 16 lands, Chrome Mox, Mana Vault, Lion's Eye Diamond, Ritual, Cabal, Ritual. Turnabout's really not at its full potential in this deck because I don't have High Tide. I don't have any of the big mana enablers like Mana Flare or Heartbeat of Spring. I would love to play first. Well, this hand looks great. I can't say no to this. Of note, I will not lead off with a Mana Vault here. What I think I want to do is just slow roll the Mana Vault and likely play at the same turn that I cast my Time Twister. So what I'll probably do is lead on a fetch land, pass to my opponent, likely find Bayou on their end step, and then play Island and get a Baleful Strix down and see what I draw into over those 2 draw steps. Or we could just slow roll the Time Twister as well. It'll just depend on what our opponent gets up to. I mean, if they have a very fast start, then it may be that we don't really want to buy them more gas. Alright, well, I don't really want to draw land anymore, so I'd like to thin my 16 land deck down to 15 lands after this. Or, well, actually less than that, because I have 3 in, or I had 3 in hand. So opponent plays Swamp, says go. What would be the worst for us to see? Likely something along the lines of Hymn to Turek. That would be god-awful. Alright, Confluence is a good pickup. Not going to play it out yet. I think this deck wants to slow roll lands as much as it can. Okay, well that'll likely be our next land drop. Actually, next turn there's a very good chance I will just play the Vault out. Because I think I'm just trying to set up the Twister turn. Or do I? Yeah, I'm going to, actually. I'm going to play it out here. If they want to counter this or remand it or whatever, that's fine. It'd take like a Mana Leak probably to do. You can also blow it up. Ashiok would be spooky. Ashiok would probably make me go nuts next turn if it's an Ashiok here. Alright, just a Worn Power Stone. This is a lot less frightening. I'm not really worried about like big threats that threaten my life total because I'm not a bargain deck. Well, this is getting spicy. I think we're still going to wait, though. So the minimum, if like an Ashiok or some other way to, disrupt my deck, my actual literal deck, occurs, we should be able to kind of bypass that. We have a Yawgmoth's Will at beck and call, but I don't really think I have the depth of graveyard at this point to do that. So I do think what makes the most sense. All right, Black Lotus. Well, maybe we'll be brain freezing on their end step. Maybe they'll go crazy. That'd be kind of funny, huh? Guess a draw card. Feels like compulsive research. All right, Thran Dynamo. All right, big mana. Oh, we're gonna get. We could be getting Titaned here. Sundering Titaned. They'd be one short at the moment. I believe that's an 8 or is that a 7? I think it's an 8. So they have a lot of mana available. Well, this probably is going to be a matchup where we bring an Ancient Grudge. This is a pretty low upside play right here. Although I think if they want to... yeah, we're going to just turn our lands about, gain 1 mana off of it. Land, untap. I'm going to go ahead and just Twister here. Yeah, I think they're going to have to pop the Lotus if they counter this. Okay. I believe the Wooded Foothills is now defunct because I think the forest is the last land it could get. So we're not going to play that out. I think what we do here is, well, for starters, we're going to go ahead and just cast a Cabal Ritual. I think I'm going to cast... this out. And oddly enough, so here's my thinking, like I'm going to play this out, take a damage off of it. I'm actually going to fetch with it because I don't want to redraw this card. I know it's not going to fetch anything. It's going to fetch 0, Bupkis. So we'll do that. Utilize, I believe, the red mana here. Yeah, red mana is fine because we have the Confluence if we really need it again. We'll make some mana off of the Cabal Ritual. Go ahead and Time Twister here. Alrighty. Well, kind of a swing and a miss. Windswept Heath finds nothing. Huh. Well then. Gonna play out the Dak Faden. Probably take the Thran Dynamo. Kind of a swing and a miss here, though. Kind of stinks because we just, yeah. I suppose I could loot my own hand to get rid of some cards. Like the Windswept doesn't really matter. They can counter this if they want. They're popping a Lotus to do it, though. Well, what do we do, opponent? They likely do have counter magic in their deck. I mean, they're playing islands, so if this gets countered, it gets countered, and it's exiled from my my deck because I'm still on an active Yawgmoth's Will right now. All right, they are going to go ahead and counter it. All right. I'm not going to continue playing out further lands this turn, I don't think. Well, yeah, we'll get another 1 point of damage here. I do think we just go ahead and play the Wall Blossoms out, see what's up. And because this will come into play tap next turn, as will this, I think I'm going to play him out tapped and say go. We've got a Thirst next turn. I want to save the Windswept for that. And it gifts. So their Black Lotus is actually going to be colorless mana now, which is, I think, fine. All right, Basalt Monolith off of that. Well, what do we have? I don't even think that it's necessarily horrendous for them. I mean, if they cast down a Sundering Titan, that gets a lot of my lands. Gets 4 of them. Which is not great, but what do you do, opponent? I mean, I suppose they could cast out an Upheaval, but that would... And that's a thing. We'll see what happens here. Kind of missed pretty big on that Twister. That was kind of disappointing. Dual Twisters into kind of nothing. But at the same time, the rest of our 17 cards should be pretty live. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12 lands out of our deck, which means we have only 4 lands remaining, one of which is in our hand. So the rest of our deck is gas. So Thirst should be pretty good here. All right, Phyrexian Revoker stopping what? I suppose the Mana Vault? So I'm going down to 7 because of Vault, which is fine, I think. This card does not scare me all that much. And again, if it's just attackers, if it's just like creatures that attack and nothing that really disrupts my mana base heavily, I think I'm okay with it. Like basically, if it doesn't win the game this turn, I should be okay. Fast Bond is also quite powerful here, because if they try to Upheaval, I'll just put Fast Bond down and take a boatload of damage, but probably be able to get back to... Well, it'd be tight, because I'm already at 8. I took a lot of damage off of it last time around. We'll see what there could be like a Tinker deck, but Blightsteel doesn't even really scare me. Like if they want to tap down for putting a Blightsteel, just a big silly monster into play, as long as it's not an Emrakul that gives them an extra turn, I think I'll be fine with that. And if they show Untold right now, or Vraska, do I untap this thing? I don't think I do. I think my colored mana is going to be more relevant at this point than my mana capacity. Alright, well, Moto is slowing down. Come on, Moto. Catch up, you. Well, guys, a quick break, and we'll be right back, because I think I'm going to have to restart Moto. Alright, guys, let's see if Moto starts working properly. Alright, it's working. Alright, well, we drew another one of our islands. Here, I think what we do is do this. We're just going to go for a Thirst for Knowledge. Alright, and I will discard this and this. I am going to take a look at what's going on over there. Alright, Nicol Bolas Planeswalker. Well, okay. I don't see a reason not to play the land out. They can go. Their deck looks like jank. They have a lot of cool mana, but they're thematically kind of off. Nicol Bolas would obviously be kind of... I guess it wouldn't be that bad. I mean, what are they going to do? Blow up a permanent? Because I can probably set up the win with the Gifts Ungiven on their end step. I probably should have saved a copy of the deck list to see what I was going to gifts for. I mean, I guess if it's that bad, I'm just going to take 2 targets and put them in my graveyard. 2 things I really don't want to have. Alright, so they drew something. We'll see what it is. Alright, Frost Titan. I suppose I could tap down a land. Probably tap down the Hissing Quagmire or the Baleful Strix. Probably Quagmire makes some more sense because it just takes me down a mana, which may or may not be relevant, but I think it's the right play to do. If they tap it, I'm just going to go for a Gifts Ungiven here, and I think probably set up the game win on the next turn. Come on, man, computers. All right, what is it tapping? The wall? Yeah, okay. I guess they want to attack with their Phyrexian Revoker. Rishadan Cool. This deck is very interesting. And they're not attacking. That's an interesting one to tap if they're not going to attack. Oh, I know you don't have counter magic at this point, so I'm going to Gifts Ungiven you. And probably end the game. Alright, so I like Bring to Light. Demonic Tutor. Turnabout. And how about just like, I don't know, Lion's Eye Diamond, no. The pile I really don't want is the Mind's Desire. I guess Mind's Desire Wheel of Fortune pile will be fine. What I'm hoping to get is like Bring to Light and Mind's Desire. It's also relevant that I can attack them in the air and put them... Alright. Okay. Should probably attack first. And if we Bring to Light, we cannot draw into these cards, so I think what we need to do is this. Let's just do this. So let's just make sure we're good here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Just double count. 3. So basically just need storm count of 5 to mill them. So I can go to 0 cards in the library here, right? And sure. Draw the rest of my deck. Oh, I guess I could have just time spiraled as well. And sure. Well, let's see if they have an answer to this. If they have an Eldrazi, that would be sad. And actually, it's probably more technically correct to tap their lands down. So they do have, what, 1 blue mana open? This is Millage, so if they don't have an Eldrazi, alright, yep, they're just done. And say if they are, I can just Time Spiral and go for the win that way, but... Alright, well, Storm worked out there. Not really even the best of draws. I mean, like, we hit a lot of landage there. Basically, there's only 1 land in our bottom 7 cards. Which is not the best of variants, but we're able to find a line. Although I do think I did play that land. After I wheeled them, I should have just turned about their lands. Although I suppose I would have had to do that without overproducing mana and then pass to the next turn, so just float. Yeah, they would have just floated. It's really more of an end step thing you want to do that with, or like maybe upkeep, but like generally end step. I guess you see upkeep on their turn as well if you want to stop them from casting threats out. So they're on a Nicol Bolas, like just big mana nonsense deck. Well, I like my chances here because it looks like their deck's doing a lot of sweet stuff, but does not have a lot of high internal synergy, kind of like our deck does. Well, I think we're going to run it back and just put a Strix down and kind of slow roll. I mean, I would like to have an untapped land for 3 so I can Thirst, though. Yawgmoth's Will is a mile off, but we got a few draw steps until that's relevant, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. I think sequencing the Strix out first is more accurate or more correct. Well, I'll tell you what Storm decks really love seeing. It's when players play Ancient Tomb. All right, Island and go. I'm not going to lead off on the Mana Vault here. Fastbond did a number in this deck. Like, that was very good with all the draw 7s. Well, I'll see what they play. It could just be a nonsense artifact, or it could be a threat. We'll see. Alright, strong pickup there. It didn't seem like they probably have a lot of mana hate. It looks like they're pretty primarily focused on just doing whatever they're doing. Alright, Confluence is a good pickup. I like having good mana. Probably just go Swamp next turn. I'm not going to play the Mana Vault yet. I'll just Thirst for Knowledge on their end step, more than likely. Get an attack. The little chip damage with Baleful Strix is not irrelevant. Like, getting in 2 hits with it is pretty important because there's 1 less Storm count to win with the Tendrils. Alright, Mishra's Workshop. Alright, well, what do we have here? They have like a Lodestone Golem. Alright, Gilded Lotus. Cool. You know, I did forget in sideboarding to bring an Ancient Grudge. I think Ancient Grudge would be very important, or is very good in this matchup. Probably important. Well, they're still a little ways off from Bolas. It's really the colored mana for those big flashy spells that you need to have. This is going to be like a Basalt Monolith or something. We'll say this, though. Like, the draw 7s are not very good against them. We get Mind Twisted. Mind Twist would be god-awful, but I do have Yawgmoth's Will. If I get lucky, I won't have to worry about ditching too many important components to my combo. Mind Twist is one this deck does not want to see, especially against like a big mana kind of nonsense deck like the one we're facing. But I suppose it's a better matchup than just like Red Deck Wins. Red Deck Wins is a god-awful matchup for the deck we're playing. It's just, you know, it's tough. Alright, Grim Tutor. Well, that's a bit spooky. At a minimum, we can just up our overall card count. Suppose we do have Nature's Claim we could use to knock out the Gilded Lotus and take out whatever they probably got. Could just wheel them here. They just tutored. I don't think I can responsibly... I mean, like, it's possibly right to wheel here. I really can't bring myself to do it, though. Like, I think one concession I will make is that they could have very well gotten Twist. And if I had to discard a land, I would rather discard the Swamp and the Lumbering Falls. And the 1 damage, I think, in the long term is probably going to be a little less relevant. So, we're going to do this. They are 14. They could have just been a Frost Titan. Hopefully it's not like a Nikki B. They can't do Nikki B. X takes 2 black to do that, right? Could just be a Terastodon or something like that. If they blow up all my lands, though, I can probably just push through damage. Alright, well, we're going to do this. So, in response, Leovold's kind of an interesting one. I think it is this and this. And okay, you have Leovold. That is cool by me. I actually could have done the Mana Vault, but I think I want the Mana Vault in hand. Okay, Tangle Wire. Okay. Well, this deck is certainly very creative. It looks like a pile of cards, though. But Leovold is a good card against this deck. Alright, well, I will tap all my stuff down. And say, thank you, sir. But not a horrible situation. Just play this out. Actually, that's a good play for next turn. It blocks Leovold all day, and they're already at a relatively low life total, and they're going to be tapping 3 permanents down on their turn if they sequence this correctly, and if not, they're going to be tapping 4. Really just 2 if they do it right, because Tangle Wire doesn't count if it's tapped. Alright, they did sequence it correctly, so I assume Tangle Wire, and then what, like Mishra's Workshop and the Ancient Tomb would make the most sense to me. It just depends on what they have in hand. Could also go for a Bring to Light next turn. I think I'm just going to probably play on a Wall of Blossoms, though. Okay, they tap their 2 colored lands. Well, they have the Gilded Lotus, I suppose, still, but only obviously cast homogeneously colored spells, which in a Nicol Bolas deck does not worry me as much. Okay, take 3 and have to like it. The attack here does not seem that relevant from the Baleful Strix. Alright, what do you have, like a Basalt Monolith or something? There seems to be a lot of mana, but like not a ton of threats. Okay, Sundering Titan's annoying. It's going to get 1 of their lands and 2 of mine. Alright. Alright, well, looks like they're possibly going to get there. The Sundering Titan was a pretty big pickup for them. Alright, well, I don't project that I'm probably going to be playing out the Wheel of Fortune anytime soon. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of it here. Could also play out the Mana Vault, but I think it's going to be important that I save that for Storm Count. What do I have in the yard? I have a lot of lands. Fast Bond would actually... You know what? We could do Fast Bond. Alright, I think here is the place. This thing's going down to 2 next turn. I think I am going to play my land out this turn. I'm going to play this out and this out. Take 10 down to 6. Alright, 10 down to 6, which means I have 7 land drop. Well, correction, 6 land drops next turn before I die. So I can Bring to Light for mana. Yeah. And I have to remember the Mana Confluence also taps and does damage to me. So that's a thing. It's going to be tight. Okay, down to 6. Well, do you have something else relevant to play? Okay, Basalt Monolith, not really relevant, and Rishadanpur, that's annoying as hell. So they're basically like stacks. We have to ask ourselves, can we win this? Well, I think I have to choose this, and I think I like choosing my red source here. So, okay. And maybe the line here is just take 3. I mean, Wall of Blossoms is not going to net me a card this turn because of the Leovold. Alright, they're going to tap what? Possibly the Copperline Gorge or maybe the Confluence. The Confluence, okay. Alright, Moto, come on, catch up. Yep. Nope. Come on. Alright, Wall of Blossoms, go. Well, if we draw to a black source, I think we just win next turn. But if we don't, we just die. Tangle is going to tap one thing down. It'll just be the Baleful Strix because I really am going to be in need of my mana. I have to block the Sundering Titan, go to 3, which does limit a lot of options, so we're going to see here. Yep. Cool. Well, do you have anything else to throw at me? Hopefully not. Hopefully we faded all of that. Or it's just something irrelevant. Alright, Bitter Blossom is irrelevant to me. That card takes forever to win. Yep. Alright, I can't take one off of this, can I? Alright, black mana. Oh, it does not get instants. That's a problem, huh? Alright, so we're going to get Cabal Ritual, I suppose. Or it's just DT. DT into Cabal Ritual. Cabal Ritual out Yogg-Will. Yeah, so I think what we do is this into this. Let's make sure we just do the math right here. Into this. And there we go. I mean, they're going to draw a lot of cards, but don't matter, right? I think they draw a card for each of these, which is pretty awesome. They're going to draw their whole deck. They can mill themselves with it. Yep, got them. Alright, so found the line. Storm deck, pretty sweet. Alright, guys, go to the next match. I do think that, so like you saw their deck, and like, their deck had a lot of powerful cards in it, but I think when you approach Cube, like, I think you do really have to, it's a constructed limited format. Which I think in general, like, a lot more of the WotC formats, like the limited formats, are like that. Well, this hand goes from like wildly keepable to wildly unkeepable depending on matchup. I'm going to keep this. If it's against aggro, this is terrible, because it doesn't really do anything. But like against control, we got time to kind of just bide and sit around and like not do much. Draw into hopefully a red source for the Wheel of Fortune. And the other thing it does against control is it pretends it's control as well. Like this deck can, at least the first game, pretend it's a control deck. I'll just play my islands out, act like I'm holding up counter spells and just being inactive and just being generally a blue deck. If it's like a white weenie or red deck wins deck, well, we'll just get plowed into the earth and lose. But I do think this hand is worth keeping on the play in the dark, because it is going to hit its land drops, and yeah, it's okay. I mean, the best draws would be like, you know, red source or red fetch into Lion's Eye Diamond, probably. Just play an island. I don't want to see a plains. That's fine, I think. Alright, well, they're going to cast a cantrip here. Alright, Ancestral Visions, okay. So they are a counterspell deck. That's probably not what I want to see. last opponent lost that game because of their own misplay. They should have tapped my Black Source down. If they had, they would have won, I think. Alright. Well, not really seeing any of the good stuff. If I had Yawgmoth's Will in hand, I would have the possibility of wanting to Brain Freeze myself here, even. They're going to be a good Jeskai deck and probably wait until this comes off in 2 turns to cast anything of extreme relevance. I don't think this gets countered. If it does, okay. It could get remanded. But I think you just generally let the Sphinx happen. Yeah, they do as well. Alright, well, an off-color land, but a land nonetheless. And we can start chipping in there for our couple points of damage here and there. And this has got one more turn. And then they are in the cards. This is probably going to be one of those matchups where we just wait for them to do something big, and then we try to go off after they do something big. Well, that was a bad pickup. I mean, it's a great card, but bad pickup there. Another option this hand has when it's ready to go off is it can use Turnaround on the opponent, because Turnabout rather, is not at its best in this deck. It's just kind of like a net neutral 0. It does really 0. It's just kind of like if you have more lands. Or does it say Pestermite? Okay. Probably going to lose here if they have the combo. I don't think the right answer is to always go for it, because if I am like a blue-black control deck, I probably have creature kill here. So if they slam a Kiki, I'm going to think they're kind of playing foolishly, but it'll work. It'll do the job here. Yeah, if they just slam Splinter Twin on this, I'm going to think they're crazy, but that's just me. Any number of things can stop Twin. I mean, you know, whether it be Mana Leak, Kill Spell. Okay, Glorybringer I think is fine. It's damage, but alright, it is going to exert. Fine by me. That means I'm only taking a little bit of damage this turn. Alright, very good pickup there. I think this does get a green land. I think I have to wait on the Wall of Blossoms, because if they truly do have like the Nut Draw, which is going to be just slamming a Kiki Jiki down, then I think that's going to be a bad for me. But what I do think I do here is I'm going to go for a Turnabout on them on their end step. That'll, generally speaking, force them to counter. Go ahead and fetch. We'll get a Bayou. Like I said, they can counter this. If they have 2 counters, we're probably just in trouble anyways. But I'm going to try to go for a Time Spiral turn here if I get the option to do so. And if I don't, I'll probably just wheel, because none of this is that operative for me to win. Wall of Blossom's kind of just a loot effect that sets up, later turns. So I guess they're making the debate on whether they want to counter this or not. I think you just do if you have it, because, I mean, if I'm doing this, I'm saying, like, hey, I'm going to try to win on the next turn. Now, right now, I can't, so it's kind of a bluff in a lot of ways, but I think if I sit around, I'm probably just going to lose the game as well. So, got a counterspell? Okay. That is fine. Land? Well, probably one of the worst lands we could have drawn. Same token, I think we just leave up our Nature's Claim here, sadly. I would really like to get the Wall of Blossoms out, but next turn I kind of have a good play. Nature's Claim is one of the few ways we have of dealing with at least Splinter Twin. If it's Kiki Jiki, yeah, it just gets us. I'm not going to try to play around it. If they have the Deceiver Exarch, I mean, knowing the Psychic play is to tap the Bayou, I think they likely tap an Island, because Bayou is my only interactive card I've got here. So I'm going to take 6 this turn down to 5. There are a lot of cards that just kill me here. So if they have like another Haste Dragon, I guess one of them's a 5/5, the other one's a 4/4. Alright, get slammed for 6. They're probably going to play Smart Magic and just not play anything out. I think I am going to just brain freeze them just to see what's going. This is like, I'm doing this because I don't think my Time Spiral is going to resolve. All right, they have Sneak Attack, Preordain, and Grim Monolith. All right, cool. All right, Blooming Marsh is not a card I intend on playing out because I would like my whatever lands I get this turn to come into play untapped. So we're going to go ahead and go for a Time Spiral, and if this gets countered, we'll just concede the game. Oh, do you have a counter? You do. Okay. Force of Will Heartcast. Alright, Restoration Angel. Oh, they just want to get it out of their hand. Well, if they don't have a counter, this is great for me, because, I mean, they should have just left their mana up. I mean, because they have a chance of getting Counterspell back. And this is going to do, what, untap their Tundra more than likely, so they can leave Counterspell up. So we're going to go for a Time Spiral here. And hopefully find something worthwhile. Alright, well, the sad truth about this hand is it really doesn't do all that much. We're banking on the Wall of Blossoms to draw us into something. So we're going to go ahead and Inquisition of Kozilek here and see what's going on. This is an interesting deck. Yeah, sure, Preordain. This is tight. So, like, the complexity of this is that, fuck, if I go for a Wall of Blossoms here, I don't want to use the Copperline Gorge because I know one of my 2 draws that gets me into more cards, like a lot more cards, is going to be the Wheel of Fortune. But I also want to get Fast Bond down. I mean, this needs to happen regardless, so I'm going to do it. Alright, so I think we have to do this right now. And this should work, so we're going to do Cabal Ritual. And I believe this is for 27 cards. And that should be game. So very, very tight. Had to get a little lucky there at the end, but that should be, unless they have an Eldrazi. If they have a Eldrazi, then this doesn't work. But we do get to see their deck, which is pretty cool. They may not allow us to see their deck if they don't have a Eldrazi, so that would be the smart play, is just not to do anything, because we know their hand. Alright, so we got there. Cool. Alright guys, real quick pause, I'm going to use the restroom, I'll be right back. Alright guys, we are back. Stood on the sideboard in the Ancient Grudge. Ooh. I actually like this hand. This hand's very powerful. It wants to draw mana very badly, but... Okay, it has been countered. Okay, go ahead. Had to think there if I want to play the Chrome Mox out. I don't think there's a point in doing it there. Alright, untapped. We got an artifact or something like that. Okay, artifact mana. This one's tough to me, guys. Here's what I'm going to do. I do think it's very important that I get off the Thirst for Knowledge this turn. I'm not willing to give up the Yawgmoth's Will. I think Yawgmoth's Will with LED and so many other cards in our deck has too much payoff to give up right now. And if they go to blow up the Chrome Mox, I'll just cast this thing in response. Yes, it does reduce my hand size down a decent bit, but I have two other draw 7s that are quite powerful in this deck, and I think it's worth doing. Alright, double island, so they are going to have Counterspell up if they have that in their hand. Inquisition would be nice right about now. But, unfortunately... And for them, they can leave up their Angel as well. They can counter this if they like. I think they assume some significant risk if they do. Based on what I exiled underneath the Chrome Box, I think they allow this to resolve. Well, let's see if they have the Counterspell if they were bluffing. I would ideally like to get up to 7 cards in the yard. Okay, Snapcaster, Pestermite, Burst Lightning, and Kiki Jiki. I don't feel like getting randomly comboed out, so I'm going to have to play around Spell Pierce now. Throw a Burst at my face if they like. Alright, we know what they drew, so their hand is exactly that. They could Burst Lightning me for 4 if they'd like. Well, obviously glad we got rid of the Pestermite. That would have been a game loss. I'm wondering why they didn't throw it out in response. Our Ancestral Visions is very slow, so it doesn't really worry me as much. Alright. Okay, more landage. I'm not in a rush here. Like, I have how many turns on this thing? 3? I just want to keep on making land drops, I think. Because, alright, now we're getting pretty close. Like, I would ideally like to get up to 6 cards in my graveyard, so that way when I cast this Turnabout on their end step, to tap them out, I can kind of lock the game up here. I'm going to cast a dragon of some sort. That's what it's feeling like. And this has got 2 more counters on it, correct? Yeah. Okay, a deck of Faden. They could steal my Chrome Mox if they wanted to, but I think they just want to make their hand better. Okay, you got the Chrome Mox, my man. Well, let's pass it back. You know what? Undo. Yep. Go ahead and loot. So, yeah, I think we're fine here. Go ahead and undo that. We are still going to look to do this on their end step. Any mana source is going to be very strong here, but I can still get off the time spiral unmolested next turn. I just ideally want a really high payoff for this Cabal Ritual, which would generally mean getting it down with 7 cards in my yard. So there is that, but I can always just... I'm still going to turn about them on the end step here, because next turn things get a lot worse once they have 3 more cards in hand. We know they have... Well, Snapcaster, Kiki-Jiki, and two unknowns. But seeing as how they only have 2 blue mana, my assumption is they cannot Snapcaster Pierce, or Counterspell Snapcaster Pierce, or Snapcaster Counterspell after Counterspell. So, if they kept Counterspell, that's fine. I'm going to nullify it here. I suppose there's another world in which I should have just attacked the Dack Fayden, but yeah, maybe this is Counterspell, it's fine. Alright, or Spell Pierce is fine too. That means their shield's down at least. And hopefully I can draw a cheap spell or a land here. Either would be good. If it's cheap spell, I'm going to probably cast it and then Cabal Ritual. Yep, you got it. Nope, not paying it. We knew about that. Alright, so this gets exactly Forest. However, it does... This is actually probably one of the best draws in the deck, because it gets a land out of the deck, for starters, gets a permanent card out of the deck for Time Spiral, and it also gets us an additional land, which here... I suppose it doesn't really matter that much, but we're going to do this, and then I think what we're going to do... Let's think here. So, if we Cabal... or Yawgmoth's Bargain this turn, we can get a lot of mana. So I think red and a black off of this makes sense. Cabal Ritual. Well, let's think about this. So we're 1 now. It doesn't make sense to Tendrils now. Alright. And I'm going to do this as well, just to get this permanent out of my deck in case I do. Yeah, I know. I know Fastbond. Please. Please, Moto. I know what Fastbond does. Just do the damage to me and be done with it. I want this out of my deck as well. So I do have a bunch of... I can make blue mana here. We'll make some random green mana. Go ahead and turn about ourselves. We'll use 1 black and 1 green here. And it'll be a land cards. Untap them, please. And I think we go for a Mana Vault here off of the green mana. I do believe we go for an Inquisition of Kozilek. Okay, our opponent's hand is Combo-rific. And I think, so we're at 7. Oh, this is enough. Alright, we'll ditch this and this. We still have 1 black floating. That's kind of nice. Alright, they just conceded. I mean, I have it. Like, I'm just going to cast the Tendrils of Agony next. That'll be game. So, 2-0 in the queues right now, or in the league. So I'm going to go ahead and go on a pause, guys, grab myself some dinner, and probably something to drink, and I'll be right back so we can finish up this league. Hope so far you guys have enjoyed this Storm deck. Storm is very sweet. Like, I think it's very sweet in Singleton, and I hope you guys can appreciate it as well. Some folks think it's garbage, but... the deck is really hit or miss. Like, you really need to be keen to the signals that allow you to do it, and I think... it's one of those decks that's like high upside, high risk, high reward, right? It's a very high risk, high reward deck and very high risk, high reward draft. So I think, this is my 23rd cube, and I've done it one other time, twice. So I've done it twice. I had 2 Pack Storm, which I have not shown on the channel because that was it was just miserable. Like, I had a great Storm deck, and through the first 2 packs, like, it was almost playable. It was like 18 playables with a bunch of land fixing, and I needed like 5 more cards to make it playable. And Moto disconnected like Moto does, and I missed the whole 3rd pack and got like, 2 cards of dubious playability and like 3 lightning strikes of some sort. And I played it and went 2-1 with it, but it was not very good. It was set up to be a very sweet Storm deck. This one's decent. I think this one is probably on power level with the last one we 3-0'd with. I think regardless of how it does, like, so far it's done well, and regardless of that, like, I think that the play decision making and the draft decision making is very interesting when you see the signals and decide to go into this archetype. So far, I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll be back relatively soon to finish up. All right, guys, we're back here to finish up in the finals of this league with our 4-color Storm variant. And it'd be pretty cool if we get a 3-0 with it, but I think either way it goes, I think we did draft this pretty well. I think we played decently tight up to this point. So I don't feel horrible however this ends up. I think it'll be good. Alright, yes, I'd love to play first. Well, if Moto will let me. Yes. No, this is a very keepable hand. It's lacking blue mana, but it could use Turnabout for that, because Turnabout is not exceedingly powerful in this deck. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this. Lead on a Swamp, and say go. And sorry for drinking on the VOD, guys. I was thirsty. It was a balmy 102 degrees today where I live, so... Well, maybe our opponent's not quite there. It'd be pretty miserable if we got a timeout victory. I doubt that's the case. They may just be double or triple queued. I think I played this player before in cube, but then again, when you played 23 times, you're bound to have seen some familiar faces. What will be the strongest pickup here? Like, DT into Yogg-Will would be the strongest pickup. We'd probably just win if we got that. Yeah, opponent's double queued. So sorry for the amount of slow play. I'll try to talk through the time gaps and use pause options as necessary. Okay, go ahead. Okay, Island, go. Okay, I'm just going to do this and say go. Alright, Chrome Box, could get countered. We'll see. I'm going to put the Turnabout underneath it. Say go. I guess I should not have 6. I'll turn off my auto yields. Because if they try to bounce this, I'll give some given right now. They cast like an Into the Royal. Yep. We end up doing this. Probably get the LED in the vault. Fast Bond's a little more risky. Fast Bond we don't actually want, so I'm kind of hoping they don't give me that. We're not going to get the DT. My best guess could be like Bond, LED. Alright, they give us those two. Okay. Alrighty. So obviously getting our Mox repealed is not optimal, but we at a minimum did it in a time place where I think we were able to get the most value out of it. Okay, Augur Bolus. So they are tapped out this turn, which means if we draw very well, they get Cryptic Command. Cool. Well, let's think here. So we can 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, we can't actually cast out. Huh. Alright, we're going to wait. So they have Cryptic Command. Cool. Which I assume they just leave up and try to beat down here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, just go. They can bounce a land if they like. They may bounce my Copperline Gorge on end step. I don't think that's correct, but if they cast anything at any point in time, we probably can just find a way to win here. If we hit a draw 7, that will certainly happen. Alright, in the case they want to play Drago, that is okay as well. Because every turn that goes by and our mana develops, Brain Freeze becomes more viable as they draw more cards. Okay. Search for Azcanta. So they're a mono blue deck. Alright, so they're coming off of... Alright, Frantic Search. That's a card I would have actually really liked in this deck. Quite powerful when you're essentially using your graveyard as a resource or drawing 7 a bunch. Okay, Blink of an Eye. So they have a lot of bounce effects, so that means Chrome Mox is a little more fragile. Okay. They don't play a threat after this. I mean, if they play like a Jace the Mind Sculptor on their next main phase, then I'm a little more threatened by this. Alright, they're just passing it back to themselves. That's interesting. Like, I don't like Time Walk in the blue deck. I think the Time Walk is much more powerful if they just resolve something like just massive here. Alright, Batterskull is fine, I think. So they must have a Mana Drain or a counter spell. So let's think here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's make sure we can cast all this. So if we cast out the Fast Bond, I think we can. Let's try to lead with this, see what they do. Green mana is not relevant here. I'm not drawing cards. And absolutely not. No. Alright, this player has been chosen. This is obviously not going to kill him. I'm actually using this to build up storm count for the Brain Freeze. Now, if they have a counter, they could counter one of these, right? Yeah, it's a little risky. This is Xaxes, so if they have a counter spell, they can counter exactly one of these. If they do not, well... Alright, yeah, they had the Drain. Their deck looks pretty sick. Can they kill me in 3 draw steps is another question. Alright, I'm F6 at this point. Yeah, I went a little bit all in there. I probably could have waited another turn, but they would. I don't think it got better there. Okay, copying the Batterskull. Alright, so I take 5 this turn, and then 9 the following turn, and then 9. Actually, let's leave 2 of these untapped. Tap this, and I think this. And probably this to untap the Crypt. Okay, Island, and go. So we take 9, 9, and then they draw. So can they do more than this? Like, if they can up it next turn, so this is 9. They have 1 more turn of attacks after this. It's going to be close. Just depends on what they've got in hand. But, I mean, they look like they're a fairly threat-like deck. Really going to determine whether I have to Mize or not, so we'll see. Okay, Frost Titan does mean I have to Mize. This is 9 plus 6, so 14. They can tap they tap that land, okay? Well, that is a way not to have to Mize. So, suppose here it makes the most sense just to blow up what? This? I mean, it's the same as blowing up their Germ token, right? Do they have another counter spell in their 2 cards? I know they have 1. It's Cryptic Command. Hopefully they don't have another. That puts me to 17. So 4, 9 plus 6 is 15. Down to 2. And they're at 0 cards in deck. So can they win? If they have a Time Twister, they could. But Time Twister would have its obvious risks as well, because I'm a Storm deck and I can win all in 1 turn, especially with the Fast Bond still in play. I mean, given only 2 life. So we'll see. I mean, this could be very, very close. Like, I think either way, I think we played to our ounce in this game, and I kind of do like the way we played it. I think we could have waited another turn, but it would have given my opponent 2 counter spells to interdict us, as opposed to 1. And there you go. Like, I like how that game played out, and, you know, against a mono blue deck. That was pretty sweet, guys. You know, this deck with, like, Fastbond could almost hardcast an Emrakul. It's just so much mana. We had 16 lands. Like, I think it was the first or second game we played where we had every land but 1 and we drew it in our last 7. Ancient Grudge, probably not good here. Yeah, I think we just jam it back. I mean, if the mana could support a Hymn to Turek, I think I would try to run it against them. We're going to see. They're going to have to be the beatdown deck, which I don't think their deck typically wants to be the beatdown in this matchup. They don't typically aren't very well equipped to be the beatdown, just in general, as a matter of course. So, pretty cool. Alright, this hand is acceptable. We have a Gitaxian Probe to kind of see what's going on. Well, could also do better, but I think I'm going to keep this, guys. They're a slower deck. I should have time to develop my mana. I think I'm not going to cast the Git Probe yet. I think I want to wait on that until I want to start going off or resolving something important. Alright, so let's see if we can get a counter spell with this. I'm not going to go ham with lands this turn. Alright, no, they're going to do nothing with it. Okay, go ahead. I wouldn't have really cared if they countered it. Keep on waiting. I mean, if I hit red mana, I'm probably going to try to go Wheels Up, but I want to try to, but I mean, I don't have to. Okay, Time Walk. Again, I'm not really a huge fan of how they're using the walks here. I think they need to get a threat down and then walk after they get the threat down. Okay, it's going to be a Batterskull. No. Take the damage here, see what's going on. This could get countered, actually, depending on how good or bad their hand is. Alright, so they have Cryptic Command. And not really much else. So go ahead. You know, another option is just to cast out the Bring to Light for 3 to see what they do. Hell, I'm going to do it just to get the counter out of their hand, and if they want to go for a Wurmcoil next turn, because what I think I might do is lead this out there. Say, hey, go ahead and counter it. I don't care. They will probably. Yep, you got it. Slam it. Counter draw. Okay. I guess they really can't do that because I know I have Wheel and they know that I have... I don't know if they know I have Time Spiral. So draw your land, slam your Wurmcoil. So I think what I'm going to do here, alright, it's just Treasure Cruise. That's kind of interesting to me. So do I go for it? This is a tough one, guys. I think I have to go blue here. Gonna wheel here. I think we got him. All right, there we go. Yeah, we had it. So, guys, 6-0, 3-0 with a new drafted Storm deck. I think that draft went really well. I think, I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I think I did well going through that draft and kind of understanding what the signals meant and picking up, a less conventional deck, although it is often, kind of touted by certain folks because it's just a crazy kind of deck to play in Singleton and in Cube especially. But we got the Storm deck and managed to do pretty well with it. Now, I've actually had a lot of debates with other Cube aficionados on what the most potent decks are in Cube. And while I would tend to say that the easiest deck to draft, I think, tends to be Blue-Red. Well, I'm sorry. I don't mean the easiest deck to draft. I mean the easiest deck that also is very good is Blue-Red, because I think the 70th percentile Blue-Red decks tend to be very good. Storm is high payoff, or it's high risk, high payoff kind of deck to get in Cube. I do think, however, if you have the best of Storm decks, which we had a pretty good one there, but not the best. Like the best get better than that, but I didn't even have power in that deck. But if you have the best of Storm decks, like above 90th percentile, like I think they are the best decks in the Cube. I just think that getting them together, like getting that ensemble of cards perfectly together, oftentimes is not very ideal. You need to be very acute and keen to signals. Trying to force it, I don't think is always. I don't think smart at all. But this is the third time I've drafted Storm in Cube. I've gone 2-1 with it once, and this is my second 3-0 with Storm. So when it's open, I think it's a very good thing to draft, and I hope that from the draft, and maybe somewhat the gameplay, but really the draft, you're able to kind of pick up on how I see the signals for Storm. And I think when you're drafting this format, really, it's similar to even like the modern draft sets. Like old draft sets used to be a little bit more about color and like intercolor synergies as opposed to like just actual legitimate archetypes. Like now you have like Dominaria, where it's like, the best deck is black-green, Thalids or Saprolings, whatever. The second best deck is Blue-Red Wizards, and then whatever. There's some like white weenie deck or whatever after that. So they're a little more like Cube is. Cube, but I think you have to assess Cube is like what archetypes are open and what cards are the strongest and most viable in each archetype, so that you can understand the evaluation of those cards, not in a vacuum, but in context with what else is in the Cube. And I think we did that pretty well here, and I think you got to see some pretty cool games. And I'm going to put this one up. I hope you guys enjoy it. And that's number 12 trophies from 23 cubes. And I feel like getting to a point now where I keep on saying I'm going to quit doing this format because I'm getting a little bored of it, but get to a point where now I feel like I can just grind it and do pretty decently well. Like get at least 100 play points back. If not, get lucky and get 150. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and take care now, and hope you guys come back for more.